Now here with the latest afternoon headlines, it's the ITV Lunchtime News.
Serving police officer Wayne Couzens pleads guilty to the murder of Sarah Everard. Sarah's body was found in March. And today, the Metropolitan Police officer admitted murdering her. He now faces a life sentence.
All of us in the Met are sickened, angered and devastated by this man's crimes.
Also this lunchtime, an update could be on the way for the NHS Covert App because of the restrictions changing later this month. Harry Redknapp and Brian Robson will be with us to share their thoughts on the big game on Sunday. And Atomic Kitten on their re-released anthem with a Southgate twist.
This is the ITV Lunchtime News with Charlene White.
Good afternoon. A serving police officer's admitted murdering Sarah Everard. This morning, Metropolitan Police Officer PC Wayne Couzens told the court that he was guilty of deliberately killing her. He'd previously admitted to charges of rape and abduction. 33-year-old Sarah went missing as she walked home in London in March. Her body was found a week later in Kent. Today, her father and sister were at the Old Bailey to hear the guilty plea. But Couzens is still refusing to say why he committed such an appalling crime on a woman he'd never met. Rebecca Barry is at the Old Bailey for us this lunchtime. Rebecca.
Sarah Everard's family were sitting in court to hear Wayne Couzens plead guilty to her murder. He appeared via video link from Belmarsh prison. He bowed his head and clasped his hands between his knees. Afterwards, the head of the Met Police, Cressida Dick, met the family to say how sorry she is. And a short time ago, she gave this statement.
All of us in the Met are sickened, angered and devastated by this man's crimes. They are dreadful. And everyone in policing feels betrayed. Sarah was a fantastic, talented young woman with her whole life ahead of her. And that has been snatched away.
Well, Wayne Couzens' lawyer says that he feels true and genuine guilt, but that'll be little consolation to her loved ones.
This has triggered such a wave of feeling.
Shockwaves and anger.
Beyond all the public expressions of outrage is a family devastated by the loss of a daughter and sister they describe as a shining example. As a Met police officer, it was Wayne Couzens' duty to prevent crime. Yet he's admitted committing the very worst offences, the kidnap, rape and murder of Sarah Everard. And now we can reveal how he planned it. 3 days before Sarah was kidnapped on the same route, Wayne Couzens was accused of indecent exposure at a fast food restaurant. The same day, he made a reservation for a hire car. Despite the allegation, he continued working, and on the 3rd of March, he finished his overnight shift as a diplomatic protection officer, then picked up the hire car. A few hours later, Sarah Everard left her friend's house in Clapham. She was captured on CCTV as she attempted the 2.5-mile walk home, but she never made it. It was here on this busy road, the South Circular, that Wayne Couzens kidnapped Sarah Everard using the hire car he picked up earlier that day after finishing his shift. But the Met police officer left a trail of evidence, revealing his unquestionable guilt. A bus camera captured footage of his hire car, 2 people next to it, parked on the pavement, its hazard lights on. Using CCTV and automatic number plate recognition, police tracked the car's journey out of London to Kent. A week later, Sarah Everard's body was found in woodland near Ashford, 100 metres from land owned by Wayne Couzens. Her body, only identifiable through dental records, was in a large green builder's bag. Similar to one Couzens bought at B&Q days before, and mobile phone data showed he'd been at the crime scene. Wayne Couzens originally told police that he would bring prostitutes to this hotel in Folkestone, but he underpaid them and got into debt with a criminal gang who forced him to kidnap a woman, Sarah Everard, and hand her over. But it was all an elaborate lie.
What makes somebody a killer? What makes them get to that point?
A former friend of Wayne Couzens says he took drugs when he was younger and perhaps his past relationships should have raised alarm.
At the time, he would have been 23, and when they started their relationship, his girlfriend would have been around about 14. It was almost kind of creepy behaviour. He wasn't violent in any way, he wasn't disrespectful in any way, but he was dating a girl that was significantly younger than him.
Sarah Everard's murder triggered anger, protests and calls for change. But for her family, there's nothing public about their deeply personal grief. We now know what this Met police officer did. We may never understand why. Well, there remain serious questions for the Metropolitan Police. Firstly, how could a man capable of such serious offences be deemed suitable to become a firearms officer within the Metropolitan Police? Secondly, how did the force investigate one of its own? The police watchdog is investigating a total of 12 officers in relation to Wayne Couzens. Were there missed opportunities? The watchdog is investigating both the Met Police and Kent Police in relation to 3 allegations of indecent exposure dating back as far as 2015. Wayne Couzens will be sentenced in September.
Rebecca, thank you. Next, at this lunchtime, the NHS Covert App could be tweaked to align it with the changes in restrictions later this month. Many people in England and Wales use the app, which detects close contacts of someone who has COVID and tells them to isolate. This morning, a minister said the government may need to reduce the app's sensitivity despite growing numbers of infections. Here's our political correspondent, Carl Dinnan.
How close have you been and for how long? As infection rates increase, so inevitably does the number of people pinged by the NHS app to say they've been close contacts of a positive case and should self-isolate. The government is looking at tweaking the app.
Of course, the app will be kept under constant review to make sure it's providing useful information, not over-pinging people, in other words. We're not there yet, and so, certainly keep the app. It's a useful additional sort of weapon in our armoury against coronavirus.
But with cases rising, the opposition say it's the wrong time to reduce the app's sensitivity.
I'm really concerned what I'm hearing about changes to the track and trace app. This feels like taking the batteries out of the smoke detector, and that is never a good idea. That is an important protection.
The number of alerts has been rising rapidly. In the last week of June, 356,000 contacts in England were pinged, up from 219,000 the week before, a 62% increase. And that's causing staffing problems in sectors like hospitality.
It started to become a real problem, and if cases are, as we believe, going to rise nationally even more, then it could become really crippling for an industry that's already struggling after 16 months with very limited or no trading. So yeah, it's really making an impact.
The time spent with a contact before triggering an alert can be tweaked, but proximity is more difficult as mobile devices just aren't that good at measuring it.
The level of sensitivity is quite difficult because the transmitter power is different on different devices, and therefore at best you get an approximation of distance.
What's the distance that people could be away from one another and the app thinks they're within 2 metres?
I mean, it could be up to 10 metres. So you could be, you could be on a tube train and someone further down the carriage could be the trigger.
The government has said fully vaccinated close contacts will no longer be asked to self-isolate from the middle of August. But in the meantime, there are concerns that some people may choose to turn off or delete the app. Carl Dinnan, ITV News, Westminster.
For the first time in 60 years, the contraceptive pill will be sold over the counter at pharmacies without a prescription. It's a landmark moment which will make it far easier to access 2 brands of mini pills, but women will still have to have a consultation with a pharmacist. Well, Sangeeta Lau's joined us in the studio. Sangeeta, why this change?
So, this has all been spearheaded by a manufacturer of one of the contraceptive pills that women can now buy. Just to be clear, it's not all contraceptive pills that will be available over the counter. Only women on Levima or Hannah will be able to go into a pharmacy and get either a month's worth or 3 months' worth. But it will impact a lot of women. Around half of the women in the UK on the pill are on one of these. But according to the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynaecology, 37% of women feel unable to access their contraceptive services. And this issue is something the CEO of the company that makes Levima feels really passionate about. She's been trying to improve it for years and says this is a real milestone for women.
Therefore, this presents a new choice for women so that they can walk into the high street pharmacy, have a consultation with the pharmacy and walk out with their contraceptive pill. I hope that this makes women feel empowered and liberated. And what we hope to do is prevent unplanned pregnancy that cost the NHS nearly £250 million a year.
Now, even though this has all been agreed by the regulator, the drugs haven't been rolled out yet. Women will be able to buy them by about next week, but only after a consultation with a pharmacist. And it's at the pharmacist's discretion whether a partner or someone else can buy on behalf of a woman. It'll cost around £10 for a month's worth of pills and around £22 for 3 months' worth. No indication yet of whether other manufacturers will be following suit, because they present different risks to women, which have to be discussed with a GP.
OK, Sangeeta, thank you. OK, let's move on to the football. And there's just 2 days to go until England take on Italy at the Euros final at Wembley. And all across the country, the excitement is building. These are the children of Coatswood House Preschool near Nottingham, one of many schools holding footy-related events this Friday. They've been practising their penalties. Let's hope England team have as well, shall we? They've been keeping a low profile so far this morning over at their training camp at St George's Park. Our sports editor, Steve Scott, has been there too and sent this a little earlier.
Well, I think the focus will very much be not on the physical preparation. They're not going to be flogging the players on the training pitch. What they will be doing is managing their exercise and making sure that they rest, making sure that they eat the right food, making sure they're hydrated at all times. I think the most important part of the next couple of days is the psychological preparation, because there is no escaping that this is an enormous game. But Gareth Southgate's task is to try and make the preparation, the build-up to this game, about as normal as he can, shut out all the outside noise and do what they've done all the way through this tournament, go through the same routines. Of course, there will be meetings, they will be looking at how Italy play, they'll be discussing how to play them, they'll be looking at videos, and they'll be discussing various scenarios. But you also have to remember amongst all this that in the England squad, there are some Champions League winners in there, there are some Premier League winners, there are also players who've played in front of a full house at Wembley in cup finals. So they do have that big game mentality, and I think on Sunday that's going to serve them really well.
Well, let's talk to former football manager Harry Redknapp and to Brian Robson, who played 90 times for England, 65 of them as captain. Guys, thank you both so much for talking to us this afternoon. Brian, I'm going to start with you. There's just 2 days to go. What do you think the players are going through emotionally at the moment?
Look, I think they'll be really excited, looking forward to the game. I mean, they've done great. This group of players, you know, in the World Cup did pretty well to get the semi-final. And now to get to the final of the Euros, great achievement by them. But I just think they look solid defensively. They've got great attacking flair and great options for Gareth off the bench. You know, and I really believe in them. I think they're strong mentality-wise, and I think they can go on and win it.
And Harry, what do you think Gareth is going through? Because, you know, this is a young team who are probably full of a few nerves and a bit of apprehension. How do you think he's able to deal with that at the moment?
Well, he's dealt with it very well so far. I mean, he's not put a foot wrong, really. You look at the results and the way we've played and So everything's going to plan. I mean, it's just been fantastic. So, and you know, we have got lots of players that have played in big games, Champions League finals, winners, FA Cup league. You know, all sorts of. They won't be fazed by playing at Wembley in front of a full house. They've been there before, but this will be special. This special atmosphere. No, I think we'll be fine. The crowd will be a big advantage to us.
Harry, would you say it's fair to say that back in 2016, when Southgate was mooted as potentially being the manager, you weren't overjoyed at the thought of it, but now he's done brilliantly, hasn't he? What do you think he's done differently from the others?
Well, listen, Gareth's done a great job. You know, he's got good players. It's all circumstances. We've had great teams before that didn't get the breaks maybe at certain times or whatever, you know. But things have gone, you know, perfectly for us. You know, we've played well. The draw has been great. We've got home games, home semi-final, home final. It couldn't be better. And Gareth deserves all the credit in the world for what he's done. He's done a great job.
Brian, in terms of the team themselves, you know, they're really politically active, they're very open, they're very social media savvy. So it's not just the on-pitch stuff that they seem to be nailing, they also do it off the pitch as well. But do you feel like there's like a general feeling that they are different than what has come before?
I think, Charlene, that, you know, Gareth learnt a lot from Terry Venables in '96. And the way Terry handled the media, he was brilliant with the media. And I think rather than cut the media off and say everybody's against us, I think Gareth has embraced it. And he said we need the fans, the media on our side. And I think he's portrayed that to the players. The players have been really good in the media. And it's brought everybody together. And that's why in these really bad situation that we're in the world at the moment, they've done brilliant to come back, and they're embracing the fans. The fans are, I was lucky enough to be at the semi-final the other night, and it was a terrific atmosphere within the stadium.
It was amazing,
and I think
wasn't it?
that's gonna
guys, I've only got 10 seconds. I'm being yelled at. I'm being yelled at in my ear. So very, very quickly, Harry, what are your predictions?
England 2-1.
And how about you? How about you, Brian?
I'm going England 1-0.
Oh, well, we shall see. Just 2 days to go. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Now it's been the pop hit that's become a surprise anthem for footy fans.
Baby, you're the one. You still turn me on. You can...
That, of course, is Atomic Kitten's Whole Again, which topped the charts 20 years ago, but it's become a massive crowd favourite, and Sangeeta Kandola has been catching up with the ladies.
You've got a new fan base, a footballing fan base. We've got England fans singing your songs from the stands, in the stadiums, at fan zones. How did this happen?
They started it. They started it in the World Cup in 2018, and it's just carried on until now, and then so we joined in. That's pretty much what happened, isn't it?
I was actually do a documentary on to track down the person
who
started it, because nobody seems to know.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre.
There must be one person who was in a pub and thought, I'm going to change the words to this.
Yeah.
So it started in the World Cup, but actually it's now, the momentum behind it now is huge.
Yeah, really huge. We're a bit overwhelmed.
We released it on Tuesday. 24 hours later, it was number 4 in the charts. Yeah. So, what is happening? But the excitement and just the passion of people getting behind England, and obviously us winning as well. Like you could just feel the energy. Like everyone's like, something special is happening.
We keep getting these videos of like these just huge crowds of people, either at Wembley or in like Leicester Square or Trafalgar or up north in Manchester and Liverpool. It's just massive crowds singing, and you just like, you look at it, it gets goose pimples, don't you? It's amazing.
At the very heart of this song is Gareth Southgate, isn't it? I mean, well, so do you think maybe he's heard it? Do you think maybe it's given him a bit of momentum?
I reckon he starts his day with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like his morning, it's mindfulness in the morning.
Yeah, he's in front of the mirror like that.
Yeah. We think he's heard it, but I don't think he's thought too much about it because he's got, focusing.
Yeah, I hope he's focusing on other things.
It must be amazing for you, though, guys, because we've seen the videos, like you were talking about there, but we've also seen you guys at Box Park in Croydon last week, and that was amazing, the way the fans were joining in and part of it. obviously we're in, still in part of a pandemic here, and it's hard for performers to have been performing to real crowds. And how does that feel? How did it feel when people are singing along like that?
It was brilliant.
It's mad, isn't it?
We've gone from 18 months of nothing to all of a sudden this like tidal wave of just amazing energy. When we performed at Box Park, they said, "Do you mind doing the Gareth Southgate version?" And we said, "Yeah, why not? Like, we're in the right place to do it." Yeah. And the response was mental. We kept looking at each other on stage and as if to say, is this really happening right now? And then it went viral on social media, hence why we're here today.
Yeah.
The power of social media is pretty incredible.
Because we actually recorded it like the next day because of that, because it went everywhere. We're just like, should we do it? Gave you a bell, didn't we? And you went, all right.
I live in Spain, so I was literally on the beach with friends who'd come over to see us and like, and I'd seen the videos, obviously, because everyone sent them to me, and I've been messaging the girls saying it looks amazing at the gig they did. And they said, "Oh, do you want to get involved? Should we all do it together for old time's sake and for our country?" And I was like, my country needs me. I'm going.
Right, so to quote your lyrics there, it's coming home. Is it coming home?
Of course
What are
it
your
is.
predictions?
Yes, it's coming home, absolutely.
I mean, I'm no Mystic Meg, but I'm going to just throw it out there that yes, we're going to win, and I'm going to say 2-1.
3-2, I think it's going to be up and down the whole time.
I think it's going to be 2-1, and definitely ours. 100%.
Oh, yeah, to us, yeah.
Imagine, yes, can you clarify that, please?
Yeah. Now, before we go, I have to ask you to sing a few bars from the song for me.
Yeah.
Southgate is the one. Please take it away, ladies.
Are you going to join in with us?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Southgate, you're the one. You still turn me on. Football's coming home again.
And that, of course, is what we all hope. I'd say my prediction is probably 2-1 as well. Look, we've got lots more build-up coming up in the ITV Evening News at 6:30. We'll also be talking to Belle. Remember the young girl that picked up the Mason Mount shirt at the semis in the week? We'll be catching up with her. We'll have Rupert Evelyn, who'll be hanging out with fans. And also our sports editor, Steve Scott, will be live from the training camp at St George's. So make sure you do join us from 6:30. The news where you are follows the national weather. But from everybody here, bye-bye.